very, very frightening statistics about the situation of illicit arms in the country. The figures are mind-boggling. It has estimated about 350 million units of illegal arms in circulation in Nigeria. 70% of what is happening in the whole of West Africa. So it's a major, major national issue. And I think also, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, there is a very, very, very high correlation between the presence of illicit arms in Nigeria and the state of insecurity. Because the weapons that is in the hands of the entire armed forces and the paramilitary forces in this country is inferior in numbers to what is in circulation in unauthorized hands. So we must understand, Mr. President, the value chain, the supply chain of this arm. The custom is supposed to man the borders. The police is supposed to, do civil policing. The military is supposed to look after territorial aggression. But there is no single agency of government that is tasked with the specific responsibility of monitoring the movement of arms illegally in and out of Nigeria. Not all Nigerian border is available to the customs to be manned. There are several illegal routes. So that tells us that institutionally, there has to be a special agency that is, specifically tasked with this force. For us also, for information, on the 11th of July, this last year, what year is that? 2019. The House of Representatives entertained a similar bill that was passed, and I think as a Senate, it is also in our interest to do this. Somewhere along the line, I believe these two initiatives will conference, and I think Nigeria will have the best answer.
That are in this country. The only thing is that those that are settled with that responsibility to actually take actions are not doing what they are expected to do. Rather, they convert that avenue for money making. People take advantage of that and make big money out of it. And nobody is saying anything. We will only be doing a lip service here when we sit down here and be talking about proliferation of arms. Well, we know exactly where the problem is. It's either we are sincere as a nation, we're ready to take actions and fish out the bad eggs amongst us, or we will sit down here and be talking about theories and theories and theories, and it will not give us the desired result. We know what is happening. We know the truth, but nobody is ready to say anything about it. If we are of the opinion that, okay, this proliferation of small arms and light weapons is coming from the armed forces and the police, every weapon you pick, whether it's a pistol, whatever name you want to call it, they have a serial number. Why can't we number this? We identify each weapon service-wise. Weapons that are coming from the army, that are coming from the navy, that are coming from the air force, are coming from the police, and every other security agency. We serialize these weapons. Any day you catch an armed robber, a kidnapper, with any of these weapons, we know exactly from what source it's coming from. We can as well take the appropriate actions. But if we sit down here and we keep talking about this, I've been hearing about this proliferation of small arms for the last 20 years. Till date, no stories. It has always ends here. So we cannot sit down here and be talking about this. If we need to take action, then there's need for us to take action as a people and solve this problem, or else these menaces will continue to remain with us and will continue to pay the price.
In America, or developed world in general, you cannot have a gun. They control their arms. Even that is where they produce it. Here in this country, most states, each state have the law. Yes. Before, in this country today, like the last speaker said, the sophistication of the arms in the hands of the people outside there who are not even trained for it is higher than our military. And the biggest problem we have in this country, like I always say, is punitive measure. We don't have a punitive measure. Maybe if we set up this type of commission and one or two people, they are able to manage or monitor how do we get these arms into this country in the first instance. The borders are so porous. Any nooks and cranny of this country, when people bring out their gun, you'll be shocked. Particularly during election period. We all know what goes on. It's only the president that can sign for you to have a gun. Even that gun is for hunting. But go to everywhere in this country, any corner, you see a 15-year-old guy, when they have the AK-47 for you, you'll be shocked because there's no control. But by the time we have this type of a commission and one or two people are being punished and there's a punitive measure, they will be able to control. We wouldn't be able to know how do they get into the country, which border are they passing through, what are the police doing, what are the custom doing, immigration, and all other security agents. I'm supporting this bill, and I believe by the time we have it, it will help us to solve some of the security situation we are in this country.
It is already a very big problem for government. Light arms everywhere. Some of these light arms, of course, this country have nearly 4,500 illegal entry borders, porous borders. Some of these light weapons are coming into our country through these borders. Some also are coming from our security forces. I remember vividly some of our servicemen who felt they have seen enough in their war against Boko Haram, they abandoned the job, removed their uniforms, they want to go back and reunite with their families and then sail their rifles out. It has been happening. Mr. President, this bill is timely. A lot of work needs to be done to mop up these illegal firearms. And also, those that should own it should be well documented so that you don't disarm a man who wants to protect his family and he will not take a weapon from the criminal, but you take away my own weapon, then the armed robber have his own. If he come, I cannot defend myself. So we have to look at this so that when we come, it should also be about documenting these illegal weapons that is all over the country. And I just want to add my voice to say that this bill is timely, and I support this bill.
The bill was essentially seeking to provide for the establishment of the National Commission against the proliferation of small arms and light weapons to coordinate and implement activities to combat the problems of small arms and light weapons in Nigeria, in line with ECOWAS states on small arms and light weapons. Mr. President, the objectives of the bill include to identify sources and main routes of these small arms, ammunition, and light weapons, to identify why this illicit trade strives in Nigeria, to liaise with the relevant authorities, agencies, and organizations with the aim of tackling this menace, to recommend possible ways to monitor, control, halt, and mitigate these nagging illegal activities of unscrupulous people, persons, companies, and organizations, to itemize and identify promoters, users, patrons, and reasons for these illegal activities, to explore all avenues to achieve adequate funding for this campaign, to train and build the capacity of the corps and others towards an effective enforcement of this mandate, to put in place all other machinery needed for successful prosecution of this campaign to combat illegal importation of small arms, ammunition, and light weapons, enhance coordination where possible, harmonization of intelligence and information collections, analysis, and disseminations among the intelligence organ and law enforcement agencies involved, ensure prosecution of all smugglers of illegal weapons and goods caught, help to destroy and dismantle these organizations, and enhance counterintelligence by sniffing out illegal routes of smuggling. The proliferation of small arms and light weapons has been a stricken issue on the international agenda since 98. It is a pace of activities that is eating into the survival of emerging nations in the international scene, especially in Africa. It is a phenomenon, Mr. President, that is destabilizing the peace, development, and threatening the national security of sovereign nations. The complications of illegal arms and weapons of terror worldwide informed the United Nations to come up with a program of action to prevent, combat, and eradicate the illicit trade in small arms and light weapons. The local root causes of the conflict are numerous and diverse. However, in nearly all of the conflicts, the diffusion of illegal arms and weapons of terror, particularly from the industrialized nation to the developing world, has played a decisive role in the escalation, intensification, and resolution of these conflicts. Small arms and light weapons are readily available, easily to use, and have been the primary or sole tool of violence in almost all conflicts in every part of the globe. These weapons of terror are in the hands of irregular troops operating with scant respect for international humanitarian law. They have taken a heavy toll on human lives, with women and children accounting for nearly 80% of the casualties. The proliferation of these weapons, Mr. President, affect the intensity and duration of violence, encourages militancy rather than a peaceful resolution of unsettled differences across the world. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, in Nigeria, this has become a serious security challenge. There is general insecurity as most parts of the country experience higher level crimes perpetrated using illicit arms. The United Nations estimated a substantial percentage of illegal arms that is in circulation in West Africa, unfortunately in Nigeria. This has fueled violent conflict as witnessed in Niger Delta, kidnapping in the southeast, armed robbery in the southwest, ethno-religious violence on the plateau, and insurgency operations in the northeast of Nigeria, a situation which has plugged our nation into a serious state of insecurity. Uncontrolled arms have also impacted on the country's democracy and development negatively. Electoral violence by gun-wielding thugs, assassinations of several political leaders since 1999 have jeopardized free and fair elections in many states of the Federation. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, there are numerous ways by which small arms can be smuggled into the country because they are lightweight and concealable nature. Trucks have been used to smuggle arms into the country, while a number of them are brought in on donkeys, camels, and on foot. Similarly, small and lightweight weapons are transported through waterways, boats, load of arms from the Greek lakes. Conflict areas have been reported to have been discharged at Warri, Bonny towns of Niger Delta. Also, Small Arms Survey, SAS, had reported on Malians, armed smugglers, packing small arms in waterproof sacks, attaching them under the bottom of boats for transfer to countries along the river Niger, including Nigeria. The use of aircraft to transport weapons internationally and regionally is also common in West African sub-region. Here, military planes play active roles in large intercontinental illicit arms transfer, arranged by international brokers. Such transfers, Mr. President, are often complex, consisting of front-line companies and collections of brokers, financiers, and corrupt state officials operating mostly from different countries. Though a combination of factors such as porosity of our borders, corruption of security and law enforcement officers, and the existence of readily made market in conflict flashpoints in the country, such weapons are smuggled into Nigeria. This method of trafficking, Mr. President, constitutes the most significant contributor to proliferation of arms. The illicit trade thrives because the return on investment is very high if the smugglers are not caught. Mr. President, the above effects of illegal arms and weapons of terror in Nigeria are self-explanatory and calls for a concerted effort by all and sundry to successfully prosecute this war against terror. The support, collaboration, and involvement of all genuine stakeholders is a condition precedent to winning the war. It is within this framework that the proposition of certain organized private sector stakeholders like the Importers Association of Nigeria was accepted by government to set up a special task force to combat illegal importation of small arms, ammunition, and light weapons in Nigeria. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I believe that this bill, if passed into law, will go a long way in coping insecurity challenges in our country. I therefore urge you all, my distinguished colleagues, to support the second reading of this bill and commit her to the relevant committee for detailed consideration. I so submit, Mr. President.